no one is taking anything for granted. We learned our lesson from 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump, that nothing can be taken for granted. And I can assure you, no one is doing that.
Overnight, Kamala Harris gave her first interview since she announced she was running for president. She was accompanied by her running mate, Tim Walz. In it, the vice president defended her shifting policy positions. She dismissed Donald Trump's accusations that she'd changed her racial identity, and she said she would consider appointing a Republican to her cabinet.
I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
So that was Kamala Harris talking about whether or not she'd have a Republican in her cabinet if she becomes president in November. Kristin Wolfe is the chair of Democrats Abroad UK, and she joins me now. Welcome to the show, Kristin.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
It's fantastic to have you on. Obviously, one of the criticisms of Kamala Harris since she got the presidential nomination is that she's been elusive. And indeed, she's been criticized here for having an interview with an interview that was on side, Dana Bash from CNN, and also bringing her own vice presidential candidate with her. Is she playing it too safe?
I don't think so. And let's be honest, we've got just less than now 67 days to get this election done and dusted. And it's going to take a lot of time. And she has been out on the campaign trail. She has been out speaking to voters. She's been holding rallies. So it comes as no surprise to me, certainly, that the place where she wants to be is out with voters. But to the point about her doing the interview with her running mate, Tim Walz, is people don't know him. I didn't know him up until he was chosen by her to be her running mate. So it's important, I think, for the nation to very quickly get to know both of these people, who they are as people, what their vision is for America going forward, and to get comfortable with them as a pair, because no one comes into the White House alone. They come in as a team, and that's what she's trying to make sure that the voters realize and get to know what they're going to do together.
So I think everyone is, regardless of whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, one has to acknowledge the energy of the Democratic campaign since Kamala Harris became the nominee, and how quickly, as it were, the angst over whether President Biden should run again has disappeared. But I guess the counter narrative to that is there a danger that the Democrats will get complacent? Do you perhaps think the election is now in the bag?
Absolutely not. We are not taking one thing for granted, and Kamala Harris has been very clear about that. We have a lot of work to do. We know that this is going to be a tight race. And again, people don't know necessarily her as a person. They don't necessarily know her running mate, Tim Walz, as a person. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we are not taking our foot off the gas until this election is over. And we are out there working day in and day out to find voters, to make sure that they're registered to vote, including right here in the UK. We've got, efforts going on every single weekend out there trying to find voters. And the same thing is happening back home. I just came from Milwaukee, where I was visiting my parents coming out of the convention. And, there is a ton of grassroots organizing that is taking place all over the place, including in these battleground states. So no one is taking anything for granted. We learned our lesson from 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump, that nothing can be taken for granted. And I can assure you, no one is doing that.
And are you confident, Kristin, that a debate with President Trump is likely to take place? I mean, there have been endless negotiations, according to some reports, some dispute over whether to, for example, mute the mic. But I think it has to be decided in the next 2 days for a debate to happen on September the 10th.
Yep. Well, as far as Kamala Harris is concerned, that debate will go forward. Whether the mics are on or off, I don't really think it's going to be anything that is going to stop the debate from moving forward. But at the end of the day, this debate needs to happen because that is where we are going to finally get a chance to see the stark differences in these leaders, in the policies that they're bringing to the table, and, quite frankly, how they behave under pressure. And we know that Donald Trump struggles with keeping to the message, keeping to his script, and he has, just a playbook full of insults, lies, and then a whole bunch of backward policies. And I think when Kamala Harris has a chance to really put her record to the test and to show the American people how her record stands against his, I think we're going to see some really good and lively discussions coming out of it.
Let me just say something. Hold up for a second. Hold up for a second. Let me just say something. Let me just say something. We are fighting for a democracy. Everyone has a right and should have their voices heard. I am speaking now, but on the subject, I will say this. The president and I are working around the clock. We've got to get a hostage deal done and get a ceasefire done now. This is going to be a tight race until the very end, okay? So let's not pay too much attention to the polls because we are running as the underdog, okay? And we have some hard work ahead of us, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work.
Can this raise up anymore? No?
In fact, every state in the South, except for Virginia, has a Trump abortion ban. And think about that. Many, with no exceptions even for rape and incest. That is immoral. Immoral. And let us all agree, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what